89 Texans died in a single summer. One animal. Not a gator, not a rattlesnake, not a mountain lion. And when the state finally responded, it responded with airplanes. You have never once been afraid of that animal. You killed one this week and didn't think about it again. Because a Texan will tell you exactly what to be afraid of. The gator in the bayou, the rattler under the woodpile, the mountain lion nobody has seen in 20 years, but everybody's uncle swears he watched cross a county road at dusk. Those animals are real. They're in this state right now, and every one of them is capable of ending your life. They are also, almost without exception, not the ones doing it. So this isn't a list of the scariest animals in Texas. It's a list ordered by one measurement: the distance between where an animal sits in your head and where it sits in a medical examiner's paperwork. We start at the widest point of that gap and close it, one entry at a time, until we reach the thing that killed 89 people in one Texas summer. 10 animals, 10 different ways to die. We start in the water. Number 10, the shark. July 4th, 2024, 11 in the morning. South Padre Island police get a call for a severe bite to a man's leg in waist-deep water, 50 yards from families eating lunch on the sand. Over the next 2 hours, 3 more incidents. 2 people bitten, 1 grazed, 1 man injured fighting the animal off with his hands. Texas game wardens later say it was almost certainly a single shark working the same beach. 1 victim goes to a hospital in Brownsville, the other is airlifted. The Coast Guard puts up drones, boats, and a helicopter. It leads national news for 2 days. Nobody died. The South Padre fire chief called it a very rare occurrence on those beaches, and he was being exact rather than reassuring. There have been fewer than 50 recorded shark attacks in Texas in the last 100 years. A century of Gulf tourism, millions of people in that water every summer, and the total fits on one page. A Cameron County marine expert believes it was a bull shark, and the bull shark is worth watching. Counts in parts of the Gulf have gone up roughly 5-fold, and the same trend shows in Texas water. Warmer Gulf, more sharks, closer in. It still won't crack the middle of this list. Notice what the shark got: a helicopter, the Coast Guard, a game warden captain giving a press conference on Independence Day. Nothing else on this list gets a helicopter. The animal at number 1 has killed more than 100 Texans in 5 years, and has never had a state agency scramble an aircraft over it. That's the whole video, right there in the first entry. Number 9, the Portuguese man-o'-war. Stay in the same water. Walk 40 feet toward the sand. It looks like a party balloon somebody lost. Blue, violet, the size of a fist, sitting on the sand looking like litter. It isn't a jellyfish. It isn't even one animal. It's a colony of organisms living as a single unit. The float does one job. The tentacles, averaging around 30 feet, do another. And here's the detail that matters most. The stinging cells stay loaded after the animal is dead. A man-o'-war baking on the sand at noon, dried out, hours gone, is still fully armed. On a bad day, Galveston Island Beach Patrol has treated between 100 and 150 people for stings in a single Monday. Not a season, a Monday. The same shallow water hides stingrays, which is why every lifeguard on that coast teaches the shuffle. Texas deaths from any of it? Effectively 0. And the Beach Patrol chief has pointed out where most of the stings actually land: children's hands, and adults who poke the float with a stick to see what happens. That's the denial, and it's the opposite of everything above it. Not fear, curiosity. The man-o'-war is the only animal on this list that people walk toward. The shark bit 4 people in one afternoon and got a Coast Guard helicopter and a national news cycle. The man-o'-war put 150 people through a first aid station on one ordinary Monday and never left the local paper. Same water, same beach, same weekend. Completely different files. Number 8, the venomous snake. Once a year in a town of 10,000 west of Abilene, Texas, holds a public festival built around a snake. Men in boots walk into a pit of live diamondbacks in front of a crowd. There's a cook-off, there's a parade. That is not a timid state. And yet the snake is still the answer you'll get if you ask a Texan what's going to kill them out there. Texas has more venomous snake species than any other state. Rattlesnakes across almost the whole map. Copperheads, copperheads in the East Texas leaf litter, cottonmouths in every stock tank, coral snakes almost nobody sees. Now the number that ends the argument. Texas Department of State Health Services. 1 to 2 deaths a year. 1 bite in 500 is fatal, and roughly half of all venomous bites are dry. The snake connects and injects nothing, because venom is expensive and you are not food. But the takeaway isn't snakes are harmless. The rattlesnake didn't get less dangerous. Texas got faster. That 1 to 2 number isn't a fact about the animal. It's a fact about ambulance response times, anti-venom stocked in counties that had no hospital 60 years ago, and a helicopter that can be over a ranch in 20 minutes, which makes the snake the only animal here whose body count is set by geography. Get bitten in Sugar Land and you're overwhelmingly likely to be fine. Get bitten 90 miles from a hospital in the Trans-Pecos, at dusk, no signal, 2 hours to pavement, and the venom hasn't changed at all. The distance is the venom. Everybody in Texas fears the snake. Almost nobody who fears it has ever once thought about their own drive time. Number 7, the bat. Every summer evening, 20 minutes before sundown, a crowd forms on a bridge in downtown Austin. 2,000 people on a good night, more than 100,000 over a year. They're waiting for 1.5 million Mexican free-tailed bats to come out from under the road. It's the largest urban bat colony in the world. 40 minutes northeast, Bracken Cave holds over 15 million, the largest on Earth. Texas has decided correctly that this is wonderful. Nobody on that bridge is afraid. Nobody should be. Now, late August 2021, Medina County. A 7-year-old boy is playing outside his apartment when a bat bites him. He tells his parents right away. He does everything right. But there's no visible mark, no blood, no puncture anyone can point to. So the family does what almost any family would do. They decide it's fine. Nobody seeks treatment. Roughly 2 months later, the boy is hospitalized with altered mental status, seizures, and hypersalivation. It's rabies. He dies. That autumn, 3 Americans died of bat rabies in 5 weeks: Idaho, Illinois, Texas. Before that cluster, the country had seen 3 such deaths in 4 years. The Texas case traced back to the Mexican free-tailed bat, the same species people applaud from the bridge. Here's the arithmetic that makes the bat number 7 instead of number 10. Rabies is essentially 100% preventable if you get the shots before symptoms start, and essentially 100% fatal once they do. There's no middle, no partial recovery. The entire outcome is decided in the window between the contact and the decision. And that decision, in Texas, in 2021, in a case later reviewed by the CDC, was made by a family looking at a child's arm, seeing nothing, and saying it's fine. The bat isn't the danger. The absence of a mark is. Remember the bats. They come back at number 1, and not in the way you'd expect. Number 6. The flea. Texas has spent the last decade being told the opossum is a friend. It eats ticks, it almost never carries rabies, leave it alone. All of that is true, and it is carrying number 6 across your yard. Not the rat flea, the cat flea, the ordinary one that lives on opossums, on stray cats, and on your dog. And it doesn't inject anything. It bites you, and then it defecates, and you scratch. Rickettsia typhi goes in through your own fingernails, or through the eye you rubbed in your sleep. That's flea-borne typhus, murine typhus. America nearly wiped it out in the 1940s with DDT. It came back. Texas DSHS, more than 6,700 cases between 2008 and 2023. Around 70% of those people were hospitalized. 14 deaths. And it is not staying in South Texas. Counties reporting cases doubled. Annual cases doubled. It's now established in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Greater Houston, Bexar County, Travis County. In Galveston County, it went from 2 patients in 2012 to 40 in a single year. More than a quarter of all cases are children between 6 and 15. The chief clinical veterinarian at the Houston Humane Society said that if it isn't managed in the animal population, it becomes a public health issue for humans. Here's the denial, and it's the sharpest one yet. You can't watch for this animal because the flea isn't the problem. The reservoir is. And the reservoir is a decision Texans make on purpose, out of decency. The opossum you decided not to run off because somebody told you it eats ticks. The stray cats behind the restaurant that a neighbor feeds every night because she can't stand to watch them starve. The dog whose flea treatment lapsed 2 months ago and nobody wrote it down. Nothing here is closer to being your own doing, and nothing here deserves blame less. Feeding a stray cat is a good thing to do. In Harris County, in July, it's also a public health decision. If you live inside Loop 610 or anywhere in Bexar or Travis County, this is your county now. 15 years ago, it wasn't, and the animal that carries it across your threshold is asleep at the foot of your bed. We come back to that at number 3. Number 5, the kissing bug. This one is going to bother you, and it should. It comes at night, while you're asleep, drawn to your breath and your body heat. It bites you on the face, around the mouth, around the eyes. That's where the name comes from. And then, immediately after feeding, it defecates next to the wound. That's the transmission, not the bite. The bite is nothing. You rub your eye in your sleep, or scratch the spot, and you push what's in that waste into your own bloodstream. What's in it is Trypanosoma cruzi. The disease it causes is Chagas. Texas A&M ran a citizen science program where the public mailed in bugs they found. Nearly 2,000 came back. 63% were carrying the parasite. About 1 in 10 came from inside a home, most of the rest from dog kennels and back patios. In Hidalgo County, studies have found around 93% of collected kissing bugs testing positive. The acute phase is usually mild or silent. Fever, aches, or nothing at all. Most people never know they had it. Then it goes quiet for years. 20 to 30% of infected people go on to develop chronic Chagas, arrhythmia, an enlarged heart, congestive heart failure, a massively dilated esophagus. Sometimes the first symptom is sudden cardiac death in someone who never had a diagnosis in their life. The CDC estimates roughly 300,000 Americans are living with it right now. Chagas only became reportable in Texas in 2013, and in the first 2 years, 39 cases, a dozen of them acquired right here from Texas bugs. And here's why this is number 5 and not number 9. This is the only animal on the list whose kills are invisible by design. A man in the valley dies at 61. Heart failure. The death certificate says cardiomyopathy, and the death certificate is correct, it just isn't complete. The animal that started it fed on him once, in a bedroom in 1998, and has been dead for 25 years. There's no incident, no sheriff's press conference, no helicopter, nothing to photograph, nothing for the local news. Every other animal here has to be present when you die. This one doesn't. It killed him and left the state before he ever felt sick. Number 4, the feral hog. November 24th, 2019. About 6 in the morning, still dark. Christine Rollins, 59, from Liberty, Texas, pulls into a driveway on 10 acres outside Anahuac. She's a home health caretaker, looking after the elderly couple in that house for over a year. Her birthday was Christmas Day. She was about to turn 60. She parks, she locks her car. She never makes it to the front door. That's a distance you could walk in 15 seconds. The 84-year-old woman she cared for waited, then went to the window and saw her on the ground between the car and the house. Chambers County Sheriff Brian Hawthorne, 35 years on the job, said it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. He said there was no question multiple animals were involved, and investigators could tell from the different sizes of the bites. The medical examiner ruled the cause of death exsanguination due to feral hog assault. Hawthorne noted that fewer than about 6 such deaths had ever been reported nationally. So let's be precise. Feral hogs almost never kill people. That's true. Now the denominator. Texas holds between 2.5 and 3 million feral hogs, half of every wild hog in the United States, in every county except El Paso. The damage runs past $500 million a year. Trapping programs, aerial contracts, decades of money, and the population has not meaningfully gone down. And here's the denial that belongs to this animal alone. Texas has decided the feral hog is an accounting problem, torn up pasture, a wrecked fence, an insurance claim, a punchline on the internet. When Texans talk about hogs, they talk about what it costs, never what it is. What it is a 200-pound animal that travels in groups, holds its ground, and will come toward you. It has moved into subdivisions, drawn to watered lawns and standing water. And on one November morning, it killed a woman between her car and a front door. That's the shortest distance on this list so far. It's about to get shorter. Number 3, the dog. You knew this was coming and you already don't like it. So let me do the concession first, and I mean it completely. Almost every dog in Texas will will live an entire life and never hurt a single human being. The individual risk from any one dog, yours, your neighbor's, the one asleep on the couch right now, rounds to nothing. Nothing here is an argument about your dog. This isn't about a dog, it's about a denominator. CDC-based analysis puts American dog-related deaths at an average of about 43 a year from 2011 through 2021. More recent work puts it closer to 70 a year across 2018 to 2023, climbing, not falling. One 8-year review found 34 Texas fatalities, more than any other state over that span. Texas led the nation in 2007, in 2009, in 2014, and 2015. The victims are overwhelmingly the same two groups, children under 5 and adults over 65, the two least able to get away, get up, or get help. And the deaths aren't random. The same conditions repeat in the case files. A dog kept chained outdoors, a child unsupervised for a few minutes, more than one dog acting together, and a history of roaming complaints or a prior bite nobody escalated. Multiply near zero individual risk by millions of dogs, then by unrestricted access to the most vulnerable people in the house 24 hours a day, and you get a confirmed annual toll that beats every wild animal above it combined. And it very nearly got much worse. Starting in 1988, a rabies strain jumped from dogs into coyotes along the border in Starr and Hidalgo counties. Over 7 years, it moved 160 miles north. 644 confirmed cases across 20 counties. 1,600 people needed post-exposure treatment. 2 died. In 1994, Governor Ann Richards declared a state health emergency, and Texas started dropping vaccine baits out of aircraft. Tens of millions of doses over hundreds of thousands of square miles. By the mid-2000s, that strain was gone. 0 cases. There is a version of this list where the dog isn't number 3, where it's number 1 by an enormous margin, the way it still is across most of the world, where dogs kill 25 to 35,000 people a year, nearly all of it rabies. Texas bought its way out of that with airplanes full of fish-flavored vaccine, and then forgot it ever happened. Which brings us to the last thing worth noticing. Every other animal on this list has to get past a door. We open it, we call them inside. That's the entire point of them. Number 2, the white-tailed deer. Number 2 is on the tourism posters. There are roughly 5 million white-tailed deer in Texas, more than any other state, across 252 of its 254 counties. Hunters and landowners together generate around $9.5 billion a year off them. Texas doesn't merely tolerate this animal, it manufactures it. By 2012, the state had permitted over 1,200 deer breeding facilities, holding more than 100,000 breeder deer, an entire industry whose product is more deer, and every one of those 5 million is a taxi. The Lone Star tick rides them, and its bite can leave you allergic to beef for years. In the state that invented brisket, that isn't why the deer is number 2. That's just the smallest thing it does to you. Now the mechanism, because it isn't teeth. TXDOT recorded over 8,000 crashes involving animals on Texas roads in a single recent year. 32 of those were fatal. 189 caused serious injury. Nationally, deer vehicle collisions run past 1.5 million a year and account for roughly 150 to 200 human deaths. It concentrates hard. October through December, the rut, when bucks stop being careful. Dusk through midnight. And there's a documented spike of about 16% in the week after the fall time change when the evening commute suddenly happens in the dark. If your drive home has a stretch with no street lights and it's between mid-October and New Year's, this is the animal most likely to kill you. Not a snake, not a gator, this one. And here's what almost nobody knows. Most of the people killed in deer crashes are not killed by the deer. They're killed by the correction, the swerve, the half-second of instinct that puts a vehicle into a tree or a ditch or the oncoming lane of a 2-lane farm-to-market road with no shoulder. The deer never touches most of the people it kills. It appears and the driver does the rest. That's why it will never feel like number 2, because there's no animal attack anywhere in that record. There's a single vehicle rollover on FM 1431 at 6:40 in the evening in November. Filed under traffic, investigated by DPS, counted in a highway safety report nobody reads. The animal that caused it is a state symbol, a $9 billion industry, a freezer full of venison, and a thing your kids point at from the back seat. Texas is the only place on Earth spending billions a year deliberately producing more of the second deadliest animal inside its own borders. And it will keep doing it, and honestly, it should. That's not the failure. The failure is that nobody in this state has ever once been afraid of a deer. Number 1, the mosquito. August 2012, Dallas. The mayor of the 9th largest city in America declares a state of emergency over an insect. Dallas authorizes its first aerial insecticide spraying since 1966. Planes go up over the neighborhoods at night. By the end of that season, Texas has recorded almost 1,900 West Nile cases, more than 800 of them neuroinvasive, the form that goes into the brain and spinal cord. 89 Texans dead. In Dallas County alone, 19 dead and nearly 400 sick. People arrived in emergency rooms with encephalitis and paralysis, unable to breathe on their own. Some never walked again. 89 people. One summer. A mosquito. That's more Texans than rattlesnakes have killed in the last 40 years. And here's what makes it number 1 rather than a history lesson. It didn't stop. Texas Department of State Health Services, current numbers. Nearly 1,000 West Nile cases in the last 5 years, and 106 deaths. In 2024 alone, 57. The first case of this year was confirmed in Harris County. 57 dead in 1 year, in a state where the response wasn't a helicopter or a press conference, but a paragraph on page 6 about draining your flower pots. Stack it up. Snakes, 1 to 2 a year. Flea-borne typhus, 14 deaths in 15 years. Gators, 1 every several years. Sharks, effectively 0. Hogs, a handful in the entire country's history. Dogs, 5 to 7 a year on a bad stretch. All of it, added together, over 5 years, doesn't reach 106. Now, the one real argument against this ranking, because you'd have made it in the comments anyway, you could say the deer beats it. Depending on the year you pick and how a rollover gets coded, the deer might. Here's why the mosquito is on top anyway. The deer kills you through your own hands on the wheel. The mosquito kills you directly, in your bloodstream, while you're asleep, with nothing between you and it but a window screen you've been meaning to fix. But hold on to the argument, because the argument is the point. The two animals competing for deadliest thing inside the Texas state line are a white-tailed doe and a bug, and neither one appears on any Texan's list of things to be afraid of. There's one more thing, and it's the reason we spent time at number 7. Austin has built an international tourist attraction around 1.5 million animals whose entire biological function is eating this one. 100,000 people a year stand on a bridge and applaud them for it. Central Texas freetails eat something on the order of 200 tons of insects a night, and the mosquito is still winning, by a lot. Here's the strangest fact on the whole list. The mosquito is the only animal here Texans wage active daily war against. Bug zappers on the patio, citronella on the table, DEET in the truck, spray trucks in August. You will personally kill several of them today, and it's still number 1. Because that war isn't serious. You are not afraid of the mosquito, you're annoyed by it. And annoyance is the only emotion that has never once in the history of anything made a single human being careful. Every animal on this list is real, documented, and has taken a life in this state, and the list Texans are afraid of turns out to have almost nothing in common with the list actually killing them. Number 1 is on your porch right now, in the dark, waiting for you to walk outside. If you want the next one, it's the 11 predators living inside Texas city limits that nobody will admit they see. Subscribe and it'll find you.